everybody. Here we are. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, it's a really fun project and different from any of the other member makes we've done, I think.
It is. And it makes such a cute display just by itself.
Mm-hmm.
I would also actually integrate this into a small arrangement.
Yeah.
With some other
It
flowers.
would be cute as
Yeah.
like a boutonniere or something.
Oh,
I don't
totally.
know.
Yeah. Or even little centerpieces. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
1,000 places
Lots
we
you could do.
So we have Emily over here, and she's on comments. Emily, please explain, because I can never figure it out.
Yes.
Go for it.
So if you're joining us on YouTube, you can join our live chat by following the link in the description. Oh, well, people are. Okay. And
Oh, not on YouTube.
and
On video.
if you-
Sorry, no YouTube.
If you want to go ahead and ask any questions related to this flower, go ahead and click the ask button, and I will put that on screen and answer it for you.
All right. And put it on screen, and also we will answer it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, ask all the questions you want. I know this is so different and new. There'll probably be a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I
But
might have
it's
some.
really pretty simple. It's not.
As always.
Yeah. It's not that complicated. Anyone can do it.
Good. I like that.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about our tools and materials
it.
real
Yep.
quick?
Yep.
So for materials, for our crepe paper, we're going to be using all extra fine crepe paper for this project. So we'll be using extra fine juniper for the leaves and sepals. We'll be using extra fine chiffon and vanilla for the centers of our flowers. And then linen for our flower petals.
You can also use cypress for the green if you don't have juniper. Cypress works well.
Yes, cypress or olive.
I mean olive.
Yeah,
I didn't mean
olive.
cypress.
I was like,
Sorry,
cypress is the bright.
olive.
Yeah, olive or juniper
Yes.
are good for the leaves.
Okay.
Those over there. All right, and then we're going to be using a lot of PanPastel today for our strawberries. So we're using, I believe this is permanent red, and then bright yellow green.
Okay.
Those. We'll also be using Mod Podge, and I used the matte Mod Podge for these. We didn't want them too glossy.
Right.
Let's see. So of course you're going to need a paintbrush, and then we'll be using our blending brushes.
Looks like you have
to add
different
those.
sizes. a
Yeah, I have
small-
two different ones. I was using the small one for the green and then the larger one for the red. It's just nice to have two on hand when we're using
and
two
they'll
different
come in a set.
colors.
They come in a set. So
Yes.
It's easy. Okay.
Yep. And then for our strawberries, we're using eggs. And let me see, I have to double check. So we're using a 36 millimeter egg, which is the larger one, and then 20 millimeter eggs for the small strawberries.
And those are cotton spun
Yep,
eggs.
the cotton spun eggs. And then for wires, we'll be using 18 gauge green wire and 24 gauge. So.
I see a Posca over here.
Yes, we have a brown Posca paint marker. So we're going to be using these for our little strawberry, the seeds on the strawberries. Okay. Yep, we have our glue, white glue, and we'll also be using hot glue as well. For tools, I'll just grab a few. We have our scalloped scissors. What are these called?
Needle nose
Needle
pliers.
nose pliers, the wire
Wire
cutters. What are these? We have our detail scissors. We're going to be doing some fringing for the flowers. So many things. Let's see. For our fringe, we keep adding more tools that we like using. Our fringe clip. We've got a curling tool and our needle nose tweezers. So we're going to be using some small little bits. It's always nice to have those on hand. I'm trying to think if and then floral tape for attaching all of our
a lot of
stems
tools.
together.
Yeah, a lot of tools. But if you already have all of these, if you make flowers with this all the time,
yep,
you probably have them in your stash. So, okay.
Yeah, and then let's see. Got our template here. So we have this in this black and white template, and we also have a color one available for you, whichever you like. Just make sure you're paying attention to these grain lines. And I've added some notes at the bottom of the template just suggesting how many of each to make for a plant that is similar to what we have here.
And then you have an SVG as well for
Yes,
cutting
and
machine.
then the SVG for if you would like to cut on your Cricut, which I did. The leaves are a little detailed.
This is easy to cut on the Cricut.
Yeah,
The extra fine
it
crepe
is really
paper
easy.
cuts like butter.
And you can pretty much cut enough for one plant on just like one sheet
Yeah.
of each.
This
So
one?
yeah. Oh, we forgot about our, what do we call this? Felt pad.
Yeah.
We like using this with the steel ball shaping tools to shape our crepe paper.
And this
Just
is actually
a nice cushy
this is,
surface.
Yeah, this is actually from our needle nose. I mean, our needle nose pillow. Our
For felting, needle
felting kit. You can also just fold up some felt or fold something up to get
Yeah,
a softer finish.
yeah, just any kind of like cushy surface. I have like a small ironing board that I use sometimes if it's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. We're gonna start with our strawberries first because these need some time to dry. So I would recommend doing all of your strawberries very first.
Oh, we're here. We're going to move these over. Move them over here. If you need to take a peek, we can pull them back in.
All right, so you're gonna wanna grab your hot glue gun and we're going to attach, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a 18 gauge wire just in half. And we'll go ahead and glue it into the hole in the top of that cotton spun ball.
These are made for strawberries.
Yes, they are.
They're so perfect.
Right. Next, we're gonna go ahead and I also have some paper towel. I always just like using my PanPastel over the paper towel because it helps catch any loose pastel. So we're gonna start with the larger egg. Yeah, this can just go to the side. There we go. So yeah, we'll start with our largest egg and the red PanPastel, and we are gonna color starting at the top where the stem comes out, and I'm actually not going to color the tip with red yet. We're gonna leave that white.
I am telling you, this PanPastel, it saturates so
It
quickly.
does. It's so easy, and so it goes on so smooth.
I'm getting a lot of brush
Dust,
off there.
yeah. You
So
can
I'm
kind of pat it in,
first, yeah.
yeah, and then kind of blend it in circles. I will also say if it's not like perfectly evenly applied, when you go to paint on, we're gonna cover it with Mod Podge. The Mod Podge really helps like smooth it out.
Okay, that's good to know.
So yeah, I'm just leaving the very tip not fully covered. And I'm gonna stop right there and grab my green with a different brush. I'm gonna add a little bit of green just to the tip. Just to give it some like, it's almost right, but not quite. And of course you don't have to do this with all of them. You could just do it with a couple.
Whoops, wrong one.
It's all right, we're gonna blend it into the red anyways.
And don't we just love how Megan's nails perfectly match the berries today?
Don't look at my nails. I've been spending too much time in the garden.
Yeah. After you've applied the green, you can go ahead and take the brush that you used to apply the red and don't put any more PanPastel on it, but just kind of
Blend it,
use it
okay.
to blend the red down into the green. So like you'll barely see the green, but there's a little bit there. Just gives it some more dimension. All right, we're gonna set that aside once we're done. And take our small strawberry. And this one we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna color it all green and then just add a little bit of red to it. And depending on how bright green you want it, you can apply it really heavy, so it'll be a really bright green, or you could kind of not apply quite so much and it'll be a lighter or muted green.
With a little more white undertone.
And then you can take your brush and just apply a little bit of red. You could apply it at the top or the bottom, really. wherever you want on the strawberry. Sometimes it's kind of like blotchy,
Mm-hmm.
where you see red in just a few spots on it. And then you can use your green brush to kind of blend it in again.
And having variety on all of them is great.
Yeah.
So on this one, we have 1, 2, 3 small strawberries and 3 large ones.
Yep.
However, this plant, it's kind of bare in the back,
is.
so we're going to finish it and add more to the back today.
Alright. I'm going to set my PanPastel stuff aside, and we are going to now Mod Podge over these. So I have some Mod Podge just in a little ceramic dish here for both of us, and just use a paintbrush, and starting at the top of your strawberry, just brush down and just get it as evenly as you can. I apply it pretty thick just so it's easier to spread. It'll dry perfectly clear when it's done. So
Yeah, definitely adding a lot onto the brush helps because it
Yeah.
just pulls down so smooth
yeah.
in one stroke.
Yep.
And I think that we tested the matte and the glossy Mod Podge at one point, and
And it wasn't that different.
There isn't a huge difference.
Yeah.
No. I usually go for the matte just because I don't want
I don't
things to
know.
be fakely glossy. I don't
Yeah.
know. And
I
it
don't know,
still
yeah.
has a little bit of gloss to it.
We're just not super shiny people here.
Yeah.
We like a little more natural.
Right, and then you can kind of set that aside. I usually just set it on the edge of something so that it isn't touching
You
the
could
ground
also
fully.
stick it in a foam.
Yeah, you could also stick it in some foam. And then you may want to clean off your brush a little bit before you paint your green one, because it is going to have some red on it. I kind of just brush it on the edge, or use just your paper towel to like wipe off a bit of that Mod Podge.
Any questions out there? Emily?
none yet, but please let us know if you have questions. I think so far this has been pretty fun and easy. I was also thinking that if anybody had other red PanPastels on hand, they could add a little bit more color variation, which could be fun.
They turn out a lot. They look a bit more pink, but when you put the Mod Podge on, they go a little bit
they
darker.
get a little darker.
But you could go darker too. You could go more of a burgundy.
Yeah,
So-
you could use the red, the shade or
Red
the
shade,
tint.
Or just-
I forget which one's
Yeah,
darker.
Just adding in some blobs of a little
Yeah.
darker color at the
Yeah.
top.
Yep.
Could be fun.
Yeah. All right, so you're gonna let those dry, and I actually have some on hand that are already dry because they do take, I'd say, by the end of this, those will be dry, but we want to keep working because there's some more steps.
With this.
I'm actually gonna cut these. They don't need to be that long. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take our needle nose tweezers. And so you know how strawberries have the little seeds in them. So we're gonna use our tweezers. I'm gonna pinch them together, and starting at the tip, so the seeds point down. So it's like an upside down raindrop if you're like looking at it
Sure.
like this. So we're gonna, with the tweezers, push into it to make like a little mark. Sorry, I just did that upside down. I was sitting there complaining.
Okay.
Or
Right.
explaining that, and I was like, so you're gonna push into it. So hold it strawberry pointing towards you, the bottom pointing towards you, and push in. And then just go in a circle. You don't have to push in too hard. We're just doing an indent. You don't want to like
Break the
break
surface.
into the cotton at all. And so you'll just do like one round, and then you'll move up and do another round, just like in between the two.
Can we get let's get a close up of that if
varying.
we can, because it definitely makes a little upside down raindrop.
Yeah.
So see if Brittany can get a close up of your indent there somewhere.
Do you see that? There you go.
Yeah, That's beautiful.
And then you'll just, with each round, just move up
Okay.
and do another. Or you can be more random with it. It really, I just found this circling around was easy to get them evenly distributed.
And you can kind of go in between on your next layer up, which helps.
Yep.
This is so fun. How easy is this?
Yeah. And then you can do the same thing with your little tiny strawberry. You have to push a little bit harder for this one, I feel like, because it's more compact.
Yeah.
But
All right, a quick question.
Yeah.
How long should the wire be for each berry?
I just cut the 18 gauge wire in half, so it's about 6 inches. We do want like some length to it because we want them to kind of arch over out of the pot.
Drape that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Kelly, hi Kelly, is wondering if you save a brush just for Mod Podge or does it wash out well?
I would.
Yes and yes.
And yes, it washes out easily.
We should have had some water to
We
drop
probably
it in
should
right
have.
now, but we'll wash it. I prefer having my pastel brushes and my Mod Podge brushes separate.
Separate, yes.
But I would use a Mod Podge for paint.
Yes.
So that's just me. I don't know.
I think it's a water-based glue, so it does come out pretty easily.
Yeah.
I've
It
found, especially
does.
with some warm water.
Yeah, even if it dries a little bit, if you just like do a glass of warm water and let it sit in it for a minute, it'll
Soften up.
soften up and come off.
And keep that in mind. Don't put these in water.
Yeah.
Don't wash your strawberries.
Yeah. I mean, there's crepe paper on it anyway, so you don't want to be getting it wet. So next we're going to take our Posca paint pen, and I'm actually just going to dot each of these little seed holes just right in the indent. You can bring it down a little into that raindrop shape. A little tip, if you didn't know this, one of this tip on these Posca pens is reversible, so you can take it out and flip it, and one end is a thinner tip than the other.
And that's true with that particular one.
Yeah, so yeah, go ahead and figure out whichever end
Here,
is
let's
thicker,
do it.
thinner.
I'm gonna use.
I don't think it's like super noticeable, but
Just a little bit.
supposedly it is.
Look how easy that just popped out.
Yeah, just use your tweezers. It slides right out.
Yeah, it's a little bit thinner on this side. Good to know. And of course, if you haven't used a Posca before, know that you have to pump them.
Yeah.
You have to give it a
Shake them and pump it
Yeah.
to get the paint
Against
flowing.
Poscas are awesome. I just love them. Because it's little paint.
I love them because they're just so easy to grab, and they're
Yeah.
like
It's paint in a
no
pen.
cleanup.
And they're pretty durable too. They're pretty hardy as far as the paint goes.
Yeah, once this dries, it like doesn't come off. Let's see.
I think I put a lot of dents in mine.
A lot of dents.
Yeah, a lot of seeds.
Some strawberries have a lot of seeds.
Especially towards the bottom. I feel like there are
Right.
always so many seeds
Yeah.
at the bottom. If you have a strawberry on hand, you could even reference it.
Yeah. We're very strawberry this month.
Yes.
Is that a word? Strawberry? Because
Berry
with all of our
themed.
strawberry projects.
And you're going to do the same exact thing with your smaller green strawberries. And And if you're feeling like this tip isn't small enough, because it does take some practice just to get like a tiny bit.
Kind of whisk it.
Yeah, you could use like a little paintbrush if you want to and just like dab it. If you're wanting to be very
There is a
detailed.
fine point, but I don't think we carry it in our shop. And
There is. We just don't carry it in like this color.
I don't even know if they have it in this color. I'm sure they do. But
Yeah.
this works.
But
I
it
kind of
does
do
work.
I do a dot, and then I
you
just
kind of pull it
whisk
down.
it.
Yeah.
Dot and
Yeah.
then whisk really fast. Boop. Seems to work.
All right, next we're gonna go ahead and grab our little pad, and we have 2 different size sepals. We have small ones, which will be for the small strawberry, and then larger ones, which are for the larger strawberry. And so you're gonna wanna grab 5 for each strawberry. And then we'll also grab the smallest size of our steel ball shaping tool. And I'm just gonna use the smallest end, or I'm gonna use the larger end actually for the largest sepals, and just kind of push down and rotate as you're pushing into the sepal, into the crepe paper to kind of shape it.
Mona asks if you could use an alcohol-based pen.
I don't think that would work. The alcohol-based pens are transparent, where Posca markers are paint, so they're actually opaque.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you could also, if you have any acrylic paint on hand, you could use that and a paintbrush as well.
Yes.
Or even take a little toothpick and use the tip of the toothpick to dot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Posca pens are just acrylic paints.
Yep. After you've shaped your sepals, you can go ahead and take your white glue, and I'm actually just gonna put a little bit of glue on my surface because these are so tiny. I'm just gonna dip them in and use my tweezers. So I'm gonna start with my large strawberry, and I've shaped these. I'll try and give you a close-up, but they're so small, like I don't even know. I've grabbed some of the hair. So they're just cupped like we would do any other petal. Like that. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to dip the pointed end into the glue and attach it to my wire just right above the strawberry. And the sepal is cupped down, so it's cupping like over the strawberry.
Good to
That
know.
makes sense.
It's important.
Yeah. And so you're going to place 5 of these sepals evenly around. They're so small, I definitely recommend using your tweezers. It's very hard to hold on to them.
The tweezers really do help.
Yes. And then you're also not getting glue all over your fingers.
It's good practice for the fine motor skills.
Yes, it is.
I keep getting little wool wisps
Yep,
in my,
I know.
easy to pull off later, I guess.
So cute.
And you can just you can see I'm using my tweezers just to kind of press everything into place. And I'm gonna let that be and let that glue dry before we do anything else.
I think I want to make a couple of these and make earrings out of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
those
so
would
cute.
be really
Just
cute.
don't get them wet.
Yeah.
Don't get
Or
sweaty.
you could use, they have the dishwasher safe Mod Podge.
Whoa.
I know, right?
So it can get wet.
Did you guys hear that? Dishwasher safe Mod Podge.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Haven't tried it, so I can't
Maybe we should get
claim
some.
that it works, but I would imagine if it got just barely wet, it would Should be fine. Alright, so now I'm applying the smallest sepal sizes around my very tiny strawberry.
I guess I'm doing it backwards, but that's all right.
Hmm?
I did my little one first.
Oh, yeah. That's alright.
You said 5, or
Yep.
I have 6, so I
5.
might have an extra. Okay.
I might have accidentally. They're very hard to keep track of.
Nope, that was for my flower.
Okay. I was like, yeah, you should have 5 of the large ones for your flower as well.
Okay. This is fun.
Mhm.
These little teeny sculptures.
They really are.
And also, this is much easier than I was anticipating.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you,
really
Megan.
not that hard. It's
Yeah.
just, it is very detail oriented, I
Mhm.
will say. But I don't think any of these like skills to do this are.
Beyond anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially if you're using a cutting machine to cut these out. Because they are very tiny. Alright, once you've attached those, you're going to take a strip of crepe paper, the juniper, olive, whatever you're using, and we're just going to wrap the wires. And you don't have to wrap all the way down the wire. I would say just wrap the first like 3 inches at least. Wow, mine. I did check this glue before I did it. That's all right. And I would suggest if you're making a lot of these, definitely just make all of your strawberries in advance at the same time. So you can kind of,
Working, yeah.
yeah.
Working each step with all
Yeah.
of them.
Especially with having to let the Mod Podge dry. You can see the ones we actually Mod Podged first are already almost dry. So it does only take maybe 10, 15 minutes for
That's
them to dry enough for you to work with, which is not too bad at all. All right, next we'll do the flowers. So you're gonna take let's see, I'm trying to remember if I used a 24 gauge. Can I feel these flowers?
Yeah.
Okay, a 24 gauge wire. And again, I'm just gonna cut it in half, so it's gonna be 6 inches. And you're gonna take your hot glue gun. And on the tip of the wire, we're just gonna make a little like dollop of hot glue.
Okay.
And this is gonna be the center of the flower. And so let's see, I'll try and get it so it's in focus and you can see it. I usually put a nice dollop on and then I kind of spin the wire as I'm applying it to get like a nice rounded shape. And as it's drying, just look at the shape and kind of turn your wire so that it's like falling into the shape you want. So we're just trying to get it to be like a nice circle.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say if you have I just touched mine. Whoops. It's all right. I would say if you have the steel ball shaping tools, your dollop's going to be about the same size as the smallest
tiny
one.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Mine's a little bit smaller.
I know. I'm going to add a little bit to mine because I touched mine and it got weird.
I'm going to add to mine because I feel like it's smaller, so we'll see if that works. See if we can even it.
Yeah. Can usually even it out a little.
Is this for the center of the flowers?
Yeah. Yep. The smallest cotton spun ball was still too big
Yeah.
for these.
This is a really great
Yeah.
method.
It's a fun tip. We use it for certain stamens sometimes as well, like larger.
And it worked. I did a double dip
Yeah.
there, and it's still. Oops, I don't know. Nah, that doesn't work.
I know.
Here's
It's like
against the sleeve. There
there
we go.
you go.
So it still pretty much
Yeah.
gave me a nice ball.
Yeah, you let it dry, blow on it a little bit.
Yep.
And then you're going to take the chiffon colored rounded oval bit. And I know it looks really large, but you're just going to leave it how it is, add some glue.
Oh, I don't stretch it. I just.
No, just leave it.
Whoops. Okay.
All over the ball, and you're just going to place it over. And I'm going to fold it over against the grain first and around, and then
You mean
with
the grain?
with
First fold it with
yes,
the grain.
with the grain,
Uh-huh.
and then against it, and just kind of really just like roll it around that ball.
Mold it. Yeah.
Mold it to the ball, and then you can kind of twist it when it gets under, and we're just gonna trim off the excess.
Try not to pull. It's super
Yeah,
thin.
try it. It's really thin, so like you have to be really gentle as you're working with this. And I just take my detail scissors, and right at the base of the ball, I just kind of snip, cut off the excess.
And it looks like the hot glue drop is a round ball.
Yes.
Yes. That worked great.
Yeah. I was like, I just made it bigger because I felt like it's a little easier to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had like a little teeny tiny circle, and I was like, we're gonna lose these pieces so fast. And then you can just go ahead and set that aside for right now, and we're gonna make our stamen. So for the stamen, we have a chiffon and we have a vanilla piece. So the chiffon is the pollen. The pollen we're gonna go ahead and fold in half. And then we're gonna glue it over one edge of the stamen piece.
No. Yes. No.
Not yet.
Okay. In a minute.
So I'm gonna add a little bit of glue. To one side. I'm gonna flip it over and fold it over.
So you're doing it
The top
exactly.
edge.
You're overlapping exactly halfway.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so the top edge of that stamen piece should sit right in the fold of the of the pollen, and then you just fold it over. And once that's all glued into place, then we will take our scalloped scissors and we can cut them. But you can go ahead and place this in your fringe clip to kind of hold it straight for you. And then we're going to go ahead and cut off half of the pollen.
And if you don't
Into
have
that.
the scallop clips, just go ahead and cut off half the pollen.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
go ahead and cut off half of it so it's not too thick. And you can take your detail scissors and we are going to fringe it as thin as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Very, very small.
I'm going much slower with Megan. She's made a few of these.
I kind of, when you do really thin fringes, you can kind of just keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know. And once you've fringed it, you can go ahead and roll them. So we're going to roll it. And roll them before you take them out. Lick your fingers a little if you need to.
That's what I did. Behind the scenes so you couldn't
Yep.
see me. And I'm very, very gently rolling the base.
Yes, be very gentle with this. I would also recommend with these, as like make each stamen fully. You don't want to let the glue dry
Right.
before you fringe and roll. Otherwise, it's going to be really stiff.
Mm-hmm. And you want the little stamens to kind of mold.
Yep.
When you roll them.
Yeah. You can go ahead and take it out. And we can take our little glue dot center, and we're going to wrap our stamen around this. So I'm just going to add glue to the base of my stamen. And I'm going to wrap the base like right directly under the ball.
Onto the
So
wire.
it's on the wire. Yes,
Okay.
it's being glued on the wire. These are just so tiny.
But worth it.
They are.
And when you're making your plant, you really can vary. You can do more strawberries, less flowers.
Yeah.
Either way. Depends on the development of your plant. Oh, so cute.
And it's perfect timing for strawberry season in the
It
garden. We're
is.
getting tons of them out here.
Yeah, I don't have any in mine yet, but my strawberries are looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Just no berries yet.
All right, so once you've done that, you can take your curling tool. We're going to kind of curl the stamen in so they aren't sticking straight up.
And you'd roll that.
Yes,
Don't
roll
pull
it, don't pull them. You want to be very gentle, otherwise you'll lose some stamen. And you can kind of, just going to bring them in a little bit more with my fingers.
I like the wildness of them.
Mm-hmm. So then once they're finished, and now we're going to go ahead and shape our petals. So you should have 5 petals in linen or white. We'll take our little pad again, and I'm going to take the second size up of the steel ball tool and just use whichever end feels comfortable to you. You can use either side for shaping these.
Okay.
And we're just going to kind of push down while you kind of roll in a circle to get your petals nice and cupped. These petals are so small, it would be really, really hard to cup these with your fingers.
Mm-hmm. I love the way they just kind of rotate
Yeah,
you roll
as
them.
you're rolling them. All right, and then you're gonna apply, I actually used my tweezers again to apply these just because they're so small. And I just dip the tip of the petal into some glue. And there's 5 of these, so you're gonna attach them as evenly as you can around the flower. And because you're using white glue, you can kind of like move them as you go.
Are you placing them onto the wire or onto the base of the stamen?
So I'm gluing them directly on top of the base of the stamen, so
Okay.
they're even. Just keeping everything even. And I don't know, Leah, do you have a method for getting 5 petals evenly around a flower? Because I don't know if I do.
The thing that seems to work best visually is if 3 is
a little
more than half. Yeah. So you can kind of see the line. I don't know. These are pretty easy because if you put them sort of kiss the petals, they line up pretty nicely. But you can move them a little bit. And also, if they're a touch uneven, that's very natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would slightly overlap these, but not much. Maybe 1/8 of an inch overlap.
Very delicate work.
Yep. And then I'm going to kind of pinch everything with my tweezers or with your fingers at the end just to make sure they're holding. And I'm not going to bring these petals out yet. I'm going to leave it kind of closed.
Until they dry, yeah.
So that I can put the sepals on real quick.
It's a lot of glue. It's a lot of gush down there, so
be very gentle.
yeah.
So I'm going to shape our sepals again just how I did for the strawberries, and we're using the large sepal size. If you can believe, you can believe these are large.
The larger of the
the larger of the tiny sepals. And you'll need 5 of them, and you'll just kind of place them right in between each set of petals.
Outwards or towards the petals?
Towards the petals, so they'll be cupping in the same way the petals are cupping in. I got some glue on my tweezers.
Uh-oh.
Everything is wanting to stick to them.
No glue on the tweezers. This is fun. This is so much fun.
And if you make this plant, let us know what you are planning on doing with it. If you're going to keep it in your house or give it as a gift. Make earrings like I'm going to do.
With your dishwasher Mod Podge. We should get some. Get some for the studio.
And once you've attached the sepals, you can bring the petals out a bit, or you can leave them closed. It just kind of depends. I actually really like the look of these little closed buds that haven't quite opened yet.
Have the variety. I definitely would recommend you let it dry first.
Yes, I would let it dry, especially if you used a lot of glue.
The combination here of the, there we go. The combination of the open and closed would look super cute on this plant.
Yes, I'm definitely going to leave for the ones we add, leave these ones closed.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, and next we have our leaves. We're not gonna, I didn't actually cover the stems on these just because they were so small.
Oh, gotcha.
And they were like so closely attached to the leaves. I just thought it looked a little cleaner. So for our leaves, there's a small leaf and a large leaf, and we're just gonna use the 24 gauge wire between them. And so I just left the wires at like 6 inches long. And go ahead and glue a wire between each leaf half. And then I did add a little bit of PanPastel to some of the leaves, some of the red PanPastel, just to give them a little more depth and variation.
I love red PanPastel on leaves.
Same. I feel like I've been doing it a lot, but I
love it.
I love it. It's.
I was actually using some of the yellow, the diarylide yellow on leaves too.
Yeah.
And it looks really pretty.
Nice.
Because it kind of makes it look a little more springy at the tips. Or
I'm scared our brushes are getting ruined.
did I say that right?
Give me your brush.
Which one?
Your
Oh,
paint
yes.
one. I have like a cup that I'm just gonna pour my water into over here, so they don't dry up a bunch.
Yeah. Hey, we can't think of everything.
I know.
Sometimes
It's like I just touched mine. I was like, oh, that's on the verge of being too dry. All right, so for the leaves, some of them I did just leave without any color. But I liked using just a little bit of red, and I didn't put much on it. I kind of just used what was left on my brush from the strawberries and just did it on the outer edges of the leaf. I need a little bit more, but
This is a
you
great
could
place.
also put it up like the center.
Yeah.
if you
It's a good
want.
place to use all that powder that brushed
Yeah.
off too. You can
Here.
just grab it off the.
Leftover.
And you're doing it on both sides.
Yep. That way you don't have to think about which way
Mhm.
to orient your leaves when we're arranging them. Right, and then you can shape your leaves. So I'm just going to use a combination of like cupping each side of the leaf a little bit. And then bending the wire. And then you can also use your curling tool if you want. Just give them some more movement so they're not so flat. I will say sometimes I will shape my leaves after I've arranged a little bit,
Sure.
just because then I can,
Organize them.
organize them better.
Right.
All right, so now we can put some of this together. I started with my strawberries, and so I kind of just bend my strawberry.
Yeah, it's good to see how you assembled a little bunch of them
Yeah.
because you put them in bunches and then put them in the
Yes.
pot. Okay.
Yep.
And this is 3 bunches here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna make a couple more. And you can do bunches of literally just leaves so that you can just like have some filler. So yeah, I start with the strawberries. I'm gonna go ahead and attach these together using floral tape. I'm gonna go all the way down until the last wire. And if you need to add more length so that you have like something to stick in, you can always add more of your 18 gauge or like say leave one of your strawberries with like a full wire on it.
I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Or something. Yeah. Just use that 18 gauge wire to add on so that you have something sturdy to press into your pot.
And Kellyanne is wondering if you could Mod Podge the leaves as well, or what do you think?
I wouldn't for the extra fine. It is really hard to Mod Podge extra fine crepe paper.
Yeah, if you made them.
If you used double-sided, you
Mhm.
definitely could. But the extra fine just gets really soggy and it's hard to work with until it dries completely, and even then it doesn't look great.
If you want to, use double-sided.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is great.
Yep.
And when you Mod Podge crepe, it just gets a little shiny.
Yeah.
And a little bit stiffer and thicker
It does get
looking.
stiffer. Like you have to shape anything you want to shape. You need to shape before the Mod Podge fully
It dries.
cures. So like you need to like let it dry for like 15 minutes and then shape it and then let it dry like the rest of the way. So it is a lot more labor intensive, I would say, especially if you're doing a lot. At this point, I would go ahead and start adding some leaves. So you can add some down low. I have more.
Yeah, you have
Sorry.
more.
I was like,
No,
I
it's
have a
alright.
pile right
Okay.
here that we can add and shape.
And some of them aren't colored and some are, which I love.
Yeah.
So how many leaves do you usually add per cluster?
Per cluster, I would say like 5 to 7.
Okay.
Add
That's
more
great.
if you like. It's just kind of up to your preference how bushy you want it to be. The first couple leaves I add, I do like down low by the strawberries. So start out with a larger leaf. And then I'll kind of start bringing the leaves up higher.
Strawberry leaves have a very particular pattern as well. with the one in the center and the two on the sides.
So maybe a small one
So
in
you
the
can
center
do,
and two on
yeah,
the sides.
you could
Yeah,
do 3.
like this. Kind of, is that what you're thinking, Emily?
They're like, so if you were to take 3 leaves,
Mm-hmm.
it would be like, you could do sets of
Mm-hmm.
them, like a large and then 2 small, is what she's saying. So
Mm-hmm.
you could like,
Like in a little fan.
yeah,
Mhm.
and a fan.
Gotcha.
So you could attach 3 together like this, like I stacked 3.
And Emily knows this because
She
she
does
did
it
some
with us.
illustrations and and you grow strawberries.
Yeah. But kind of like this.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's similar to how we do some of our other leaves.
Yeah. So like that, and then you can go ahead and add like these groupings onto your bunch.
Mhm.
And so this is the point where I would need to shape these leaves.
Do you have enough? That's okay.
There's my curling
I'm gonna
tool.
let you
Okay.
finish, and I'll just.
I was
use
like, I
this
think
one.
I do have enough. And then you can go ahead and add your flower in kind of wherever you want, or not add a flower.
Mhm.
Just like if I did a bunch of 3, I would maybe add a little flower
Mhm.
right onto this bunch here.
So it's like you're taking one stem and building a few stems off of the main
Mhm.
stem. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna let you finish with all the
Okay.
leaves. That way you can show
Do
them
another
exactly.
bunch.
Yeah. And if you need my leaves, I can pull them out.
Yeah, I think we're okay. So I'll do a little flower coming out of this bunch here.
Do the. Okay, I see. I was asking if the strawberries drape out of the leaves, where the flower kind of tucks into the leaves.
The flower, yeah, so the flower is just like tucked in with the
Mhm.
leaves like
Okay.
up close. And then everything should kind of like drape out of your,
Sure. Okay.
away from your pot. So like this, and then I'll add more leaves right here.
Okay. You guys got that? Does that make sense?
There are
assembly-wise?
good like photos of the arrangements as well.
Here, I'm
I
gonna
will
pull this
post
out
the,
just to show them too.
yeah, you can also,
I want to uncomplicate it as best
I
possible.
know.
So this is a bundle of 3. So Megan actually bundled them in the back, which you
Mhm.
don't have to. You could keep them on separate stems.
Yes.
But yeah. Any questions out there? Since we're getting really close to being done
We
here.
are.
Yeah, let us know if you have any last questions before we're done.
Just gonna tuck this in here. Whoops, that's too long.
I was like, here, if you want to add those 2 to yours, you can.
Do you have enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are my last 3 I'm going to add on to it.
This is fun. This is like a little mini arrangement
Mm-hmm.
as well, and it's so organic that you really can't go wrong.
Yeah. Like, I think I'm going to add a 3rd flower to mine because I have an extra over here.
Next one
Or
over
a
here.
2nd flower to mine, I guess.
Okay. So you just finish it off with a floral tape at this point. You don't use any.
Yeah, I'm not
Additional-
wrapping any extra. It's kind of a lot to go in and then wrap everything. And this floral tape matches the crepe paper, I think, really
Right.
well.
And it's also hidden a bit. You
It
really don't
is,
see a
with
lot
all
of the
the-
stems, so. So I would say make more leaves so you have more than necessary, and you can always
Yeah.
tuck them in
You
deep.
can tuck, yeah, more in however you like.
And what else could you use instead of the floral foam in the pot?
Okay, so on this one, we did use, there is a foam ball in there. You could use, okay. we learned in our studio here that oftentimes I use white rice, but
Don't use that.
No, white rice is fine. A couple
Oh.
times because I ran out of white rice, I used brown rice or millet. Don't do that. We had little friends pop up. So white rice works, or poly pellets. We love, even though it's
poly
plastic, we love the poly pellets because we recycle them. They will not attract any sort of little bugs. So I think that works really well. And
I've also
they're heavy.
I've also just used like pea gravel.
And you can use pea gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
harder
it's
to get
heavy.
the stem in.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
But once it's in it,
Yeah.
it's
Or
in.
a coarse
I don't know.
sand would work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's what I would suggest. You want something that has some weight to it so it holds your stems in place.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Just
What a lush strawberry plant.
I know, now it's
I know,
complete.
so many strawberries.
I want to eat one.
I know.
Don't do it. I think we have
It's not
some in the
gonna
fridge.
taste very good. Oh look, we have another. Do you want to throw another one in?
Sure. But while you're doing that, should we show them what we're making next month? Okay.
Next month's member make.
So our theme for next month, we're giving you guys a little sneak peek. We're actually doing a coastal, somewhat Australian, New Zealandish coastal theme.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, and I think this is a request, right? This has been a,
Yes,
Yeah.
it has like a.
so we're actually doing this gorgeous, you're going to tell me what it is.
It's a gum tree eucalyptus, so it's a variety of a flowering eucalyptus tree.
And I am obsessed with these. Even just the leaves by themselves. I mean,
Yes.
goodness, can
love
you get
those.
a close up of that? Look
They
at the
look
color.
so real.
I'm obsessed with this because it's gorgeous, and also I'm going to be making an arrangement
Yes.
with these. This will be our final arrangement for our flower arranging class, which
Mm-hmm.
the team doesn't know this, but we thought we were finished doing the arrangements, but I have to throw this one in as a bonus because it's so beautiful.
It is. I
Yeah.
love these leaves.
I'm mixing them
so
with
much.
other flowers that
Yeah.
go with this theme. So,
Yep.
okay. So we're going to do this.
Mhm.
And also I want to remind you guys that we do have Christmas in July coming up. And I'll send out the exact date for that. I need to make sure it is holidays, so we make sure that everybody's in the office for the dates that we're picking, and you'll know within a week when those dates are. So you can put it on your calendar. Of course, you can watch replays, but it's going to be fun. So you'll have to, I'm going to drag Emily in to make them with me.
Nice.
I volunteered.
She did. She volunteered. So don't forget, that's on your calendar. So July is a jam-packed month of fun craftiness.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's it. Any more questions?
No more questions.
Okay.
Good.
All right. We'll see you guys next
Yeah.
month for
See you in July.
our new member make. Okay. Bye.